If you've ever noticed that you feel slightly on around people, even when nothing is happening, this might explain something. You call yourself introverted. You get drained after socializing. You prefer small groups. You don't open up easily. And that label makes sense. But sometimes what looks like introversion is actually protection. Because there's a difference between needing solitude and needing safety. When you walk into a room, you don't just enter it. You scan it. Who's loud? Who's quiet? Who feels confident? Who might judge? You adjust your tone without realizing it. You choose your words carefully. You share, but not too much. It's subtle, almost automatic. And afterward, you feel tired. Not from talking, from monitoring. That exhaustion feels like introversion. But it isn't always about social energy. Sometimes it's about vigilance. Real introversion is a preference. Guardedness is a pattern. And patterns usually come from somewhere. People who are guarded often learned early on. That being fully open wasn't neutral. It had consequences. Maybe emotions were dismissed. Maybe mistakes were criticized. Maybe unpredictability was normal. So your nervous system adapted. It became observant, careful, strategic. You learned to read the room before relaxing in it. That's not weakness. It's protection. And here's where it gets interesting. Most people think introversion is about confidence or social skill. But guardedness isn't about confidence. It's about exposure. When you limit what people see, you limit what they can reject. If you stay measured, you can't be too much. If you stay composed, you can't be caught off guard. It looks calm on the outside, but underneath, it's constant calculation. You might even feel misunderstood when people call you quiet. Because you're not blank. You're processing. You replay conversations later. You analyze small tone shifts. You wonder if you revealed too much. That's not social incompetence. It's hyper-awareness. And hyper-awareness doesn't develop randomly. It develops in environments where subtle cues mattered, where mood changes meant something, where being attuned was safer than being expressive. The guarded person often becomes the emotionally intelligent one. You sense discomfort before others name it. You detect distance before it's obvious. You feel tension. Most people overlook, but that ability came at a cost. Because when you're always reading the room, you're rarely fully inside it. You're participating, but slightly outside yourself, observing your own behavior while performing it. That split is exhausting. And here's the part that confuses people. You might genuinely like people. You might crave connection. But you only relax when you feel certainty, predictability, emotional steadiness. It's not that you dislike social interaction. It's that your body doesn't power down until it feels safe. So when someone says, you're just introverted, it feels incomplete because being alone doesn't just recharge you. It removes the need to monitor alone. You don't filter. You don't measure tone. You don't anticipate reactions. Your system unclenches. There's another layer most people miss. Guardedness can quietly become identity. The quiet one, the mysterious one, the independent one. Over time, that feels true, but identity often forms around adaptation. If you were rewarded for being calm, easy, low maintenance, you learn that taking up less space was safer. So now when attention turns toward you, something tightens. Being seen feels slightly risky, not dramatic, just uncomfortable. And that discomfort gets labeled as introversion. But often, it's exposure sensitivity. Here's the real difference. An introverted person prefers limited stimulation. A guarded person limits stimulation to reduce emotional risk. One is preference. The other is protection. And protection isn't random. It's intelligent. It means your system learned from experience. It means you adapted well to something that once felt unpredictable. That's not a flaw in your personality. It's evidence of how observant you had to become. When you start seeing it this way, the exhaustion makes sense. You weren't socially incapable. You were carrying invisible responsibility. Monitoring, adjusting, anticipating. That's heavy work. And once you recognize the pattern, it stops feeling mysterious. You're not introverted in the way you thought. You're guarded in the way you needed to be. One is about energy. The other is about safety. And awareness of that difference changes how you understand yourself. It was never random. It was a pattern. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. If something in this felt quietly familiar, there's more beneath the surface. Understanding yourself isn't about fixing who you are. It's about finally seeing why you became that way.